A lot of runners, they do train consistently, they're putting in the mileage, they're also very motivated, but they're not really seeing the progress, or they just keep getting injured. So what is the problem? Well, it all has to do with their training loads. Hi, my name is Lisa. I'm a professional running coach and also a little bit of a science nerd. And I have dived deep into this topic because I think it is underrated in today's world, but it is very important and actually makes or breaks your progress. So training load is simple. It is just the total amount of stress that you're putting on your body when you're working out. This is distance, intensity, frequency, and duration. But here's the important point, because our body is not only registering the training load, but also our daily loads. And it is very important to be putting those two together. What happens then when we're putting those two together, then most of the time the load that our body actually needs to adapt to is way bigger than we allow it to adapt to, because we don't take enough recovery. And if our body does not get enough recovery to adapt to the training load, then there is no balance. And no balance means no progress. So what a lot of runners think is that more mileage will get them where they want to be. But what happens, they're just adding load upon load upon load, and then they also forget the load that they have from stress in their daily life. What happens when our body gets too much load stacked upon each other, then we will get injured or even burned out. Because truthfully, our body needs time to simply adapt to the load, not just survive with it. And here's actually where it gets interesting. So acute load is what we've been doing like this week, and then chronic load is what we've been building over the last 4 to 6 weeks. And actually our fitness improvement comes from this chronic load, so not this acute load. And then that injury that has been lingering around for so long, that actually comes from your acute load. Because a big spike is a higher risk, and most of the time we just do a bit like ping, 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 ping. So going from 1 week of training from 30K to another week of 50K is just asking for problems. So smart training actually looks more like gradual progression, consistency over time. But, and here's where most runners make the biggest mistake, is to also calculate in weeks of recovery, because progress comes from adaptation, not overstimulating. So how can you apply this a little bit in a training plan? So first of all, increase volume, but also intensity slowly over time. So volume 5 to 10% every week, and then intensity not all of a sudden going from 1 strong session to 2 or 3, but also increase the duration over time. Then another thing that is very important is balancing a little bit your hard days and your easy days. What most runners do wrong is, for example, when they have an easy day, just like an easy zone 2 run, that the aftermath during the day will just be like going for groceries, cleaning, going for a walk, etc., which is like obviously daily life situations. But just take into consideration that then your easy day isn't that easy anymore, because we have the load from our training, but also the load from our daily life that gets added up, and then it actually becomes a hard day for our body, even though it might not feel like that. And then very important as well, which I already mentioned previously, is to respect your recovery. Recovery is simply a part of your training, not something nice to have. We don't want to be chasing fatigue, but we do want to be chasing capacity. And capacity is only happening when we give our body time to adapt to the load over time. And that is exactly what I'm focusing on in my one-to-one coaching, is by gradually increasing the load capacity of my runners over time, so they are in it for the long term. I totally understand it if you're not looking for another coach, but if you do want to have access to more scientific content, and that also really helps you with structuring training plans like this, then I would like to invite you to have a look at my science-based coaching app. In my app, we're diving more behind the why behind such topics, and all the evidence in there is scientifically based. I will leave more information below, and also a 7-day free trial period for you to actually see what I'm talking about. And if you would like to see more science-based running related topics, then you know what to do. Subscribe and like, and I will see you in the next video.